Morgan Stanley quarter 3 earnings crash. Revenues missed by 1.2 billion. Volatility and burst Chinese stock bubble blamed. While the too big to fail banks managed to hide much of their ugly balance sheet exposure and prevent it from hitting the income statement in quarter 3, as reported previously, while covering up prop trading losses as well as they possibly could, the banks without trillions in deposits were less able to do so. First it was Jefferies, then Goldman Sachs posted its worst quarter in years. And now here comes the bank, also known as Morgan Stanley, which moments ago reported quarter 3 EPS of 34 cents, which even adjusted for various one-time items at 48 cents, not only missed consensus of 63 cents wildly, but it also missed the lowest range of the estimate, which was 53 cents to 70 cents. Now, is this huge news? No. No, it is not. Matter of fact, it is not huge news. But with this becoming normal now, as I just read, that's 3 major banks with the same story. I have to sit here and ask. I know Jim Willie said, the dollar reset has been essentially extended or postponed a year out. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, because I did have a theory that said, if they don't do it this year, I could easily see a reason and how they'll be able to pull it off at the end of, next year, when it really, let's say the dollar, it's time for the dollar to really go. Or maybe our markets, right? So, in my theory, which this doesn't have to be true, it's just one of literally a couple of theories. Either A, as Lindsey Williams said, nothing has changed, he wasn't told anything different. September, October 2015 is when the big crash is supposed to happen. Okay, that's theory number 1 that we've all known about. And I mentioned this a little while back, which is theory number 2. You crash all the other stock markets of the world and show them, well, look at the United States, it keeps going up. Yeah, it goes down a little bit, but it goes back up. Well, hell, I don't want my money in that market over there. I want to put mine in the United States because I don't like what I'm seeing over there. Or over here, someone says in another country. And we sucker not only all the Americans back into the market like they did over the last several years, like Lindsey Williams said they would, but they start suckering in all the other countries of the world, so that the one big final crash occurs in the U.S. markets at a little bit later date. That is a possibility. But if Lindsey Williams said September to October is what he was told, and right now, as of right now, it has not changed, and I've been following that man for so many years. Like I said, I saw his first video ever in 2007, and then 2008 came, oil prices spiked like he said, to the level he said they would spike to. And it comes out with the most absurd statement everyone on the face of the earth listening to that show thought. Same thought. Oh, oil prices are going down to $50 at the end of the year next year. Oh, get the hell out of here. Every pundit on TV is talking about $200 a barrel. It's going higher. Lindsey, come on. I told you before. These men tell me what it's going to do. I repeat it. So I have to go with, well, I don't even know. It's not really my gut feeling. It's more or less he's got a track record. So gut feeling is that, yeah, they probably would postpone the thing, suck in all the money of the world, and then crash it later on, because there's nowhere else to put your money. Except Lindsey Williams said that wasn't going to be the case. And with all these occult, weird, special days, right? September 23rd and Shemitah, blood moon, final blood moon of a super blood moon cycle with super eclipses in the middle. Only happens, it's only happened 7 times since Christ. And I think to myself, boy, if I was one of these elitists all up in the occult, am I going to want to postpone it a year? No, listen, this only happened 7 times before. Ain't none of us going to be around the next time this particular cycle happens. We need to just go ahead and go with this. And I find it interesting that this Wednesday is October 21st, and the Back to the Future movies talked about October 21st, 2015 being, and Doc tells me, you'll have to find out in 30, or you'll find out in 30 years. And as some of you should know, maybe some of you don't know, if you watch that movie, including like part 2 and all that, there's stuff right in there that pointed, hinted to 9/11. I mean, they had in the one where he's in the future, and his future self walks in, or floats in upside down with these little, anti-gravity boots he's wearing, and he's looking at the TV in their living room. And the living room set is of New York City with the Statue of Liberty hand. It's on the table. Like, who would have a Statue of Liberty hand only sitting on their little table in front of their couch? And then right behind that hand, Statue of Liberty, is a TV set that has the World Trade Center towers only on TV. And it's got a fuzzy signal, and it's trying to get its focus back or whatever, and or not focus, but the channel tuned in, and the buildings are going up, because the TV's not in, got a good lock on the channel or whatever. Well, if you're the older Marty McFly who's upside down, floating, looking at that scene, the towers are actually both crashing down like a demolition. You have the Twin Peaks Mall, Twin Towers, and then he goes back to, once he gets back there to try to save Doc, it's now Lone Peak Tower, or whatever it's called. What happened in real life? Twin Towers turned to dust, and we have the single building that was created, Freedom Tower, whatever the hell they want to call it. So, we know they like to put stuff in movies to show you what they're going to do in the future. What better movie, Back to the Future, than to do that? Again, I mentioned this the other day, with the scene from when he's going back from the clock tower getting struck by lightning, and the camera pans off to the right as the car goes by. If you pause it, there's the all-seeing Illuminati triangle eye, the exact identical one that's on your dollar bill. So in 1985, or, that was the first one, they're putting all this stuff in the movie. They knew years and years and years in advance they would be doing these things. And they put it out there because they're just so brazen, so bold. So the same, I guess, director or guy who created those movies created the latest movie known as The Wire. Or excuse me, The Walk. I'm thinking to myself, what a stupid movie. We're going to sit there for an hour and a half, or however long this movie is, about a guy trying to, and then successfully walking across the World Trade Center towers on a tightrope, wire. What have we come to as entertainment? What have we come to? Well, the same guy produced that movie. And someone did a video a little while back I was watching about this, about just the commercials. And the cover of, I guess, or I don't know if it's the cover of what will ultimately be the DVD, but it's like the cover of when they refer to that movie right now. And it shows as if you were looking down, or if you were on the ground looking up at the Twin Towers, is the view. And this guy with his big long stick, his balancing stick, he's walking across the Twin Towers. But if you're looking at it, it's a symbol of Jesus Christ being crucified. It's got the man with this big long pole, the line, it's a perfect cross. I think there's a hint in that. And this movie's just coming out, And when Doc said you'll find out in 30 years, that happens to be October 21st, 2015. So, the only thing about Back to the Future that actually happened was 9/11. Can you imagine if we're about to find out in 30 years, part 2 to 9/11, that these sick bastards have had planned all these years? Now I'm going to sit here and say I hope that nothing at all takes place. It'll be another September 23rd day, whatever, so at least so far, in which nothing like drastic happened on the date. Now, naturally, you could easily argue, look at everything that's happened in that tiny time frame, not even a month later, we're not even quite a month later past that, and look at the amount of financial things that have happened, and news, and Russia, and Syria, and all that stuff taking place. And, that's I can't, like I said before, I can't argue against that. And if anyone thinks nothing has been happening, you need to take a look outside of your rock, just briefly, and you will see a whole lot has actually happened. Look at the world markets all crashing down in tandem, essentially, on the same days. The news is terrible, banking news is terrible. This guy, head of Deutsche Bank's whatever division, he's being let go, and they're going to split the company into two, and they're trying to make it look like there's nothing really going on here. Yet darn well something massive has been happening behind the scenes. There's probably some unbelievable derivatives losses, and we may find out that there's even potentially a stealth bailout, or we'll just ultimately find out, yes, there is a bailout, and everyone's going to know about it, but we're going to break this bank up into two divisions, because enough is enough, and we're not going to keep bailing it out. But we're going to bail it out a second time, of course, and we're going to split them apart, and that's going to be the new thing, so everyone doesn't freak out too bad that we're bailing them out again. And you have to remember, last November, Congress passed a change to the law that was in place, which was the Dodd-Frank Act, and now allows derivatives to be covered by the FDIC insurance. Not only derivatives from these bank losses in America, but overseas banks too can be included in that. And I think I mentioned this. I contacted the local congressman over here, Republican, who voted for it in Lakeland. Couldn't get him to return my calls. Couldn't get him to schedule time to talk with me. I was extremely nice about it. I didn't sound angry at all. I was just wanting to talk to him about that bill they voted on, that he voted for in November. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll see when he's available and see if we can. Okay, thanks, yeah. Can't get no one to call me back. Yeah, he's still so busy. No comment, no callback, essentially. They changed it, what little protection was there, to remove the protection. FDIC insurance will now be on the hook. The same insurance that insures your money in the bank is now on the hook for derivatives losses of these big banks. And I look at this and say, but the maximum the FDIC insurance has access to in a worst case situation of paying out insurance like this on failures of derivatives products would be the same that it has to deal with a banking crisis, failure of a large bank or whatever, and that is $500 billion. That's what the current law says. An emergency, they can ask for and receive through the Treasury up to $500 billion. Deutsche Bank alone supposedly has over 70 or more trillion dollars in these derivatives products. Think about that for a second. All we have to insure the whole world's derivatives is $500 billion, 500 billion. And one of these rotten banks has 70 trillion on its books by itself. And none of these banks are looking good. Quarterly results looking terrible. Companies like the commodities company, Trafigura, Glencore, some explosions of these derivatives products have happened behind the scenes. You're not hearing about them on the news. They're keeping it quiet. But no sooner does that happen, you see the big crack in Deutsche Bank happen. This guy's getting let go, and so you know there's some losses. You know some credit default swaps, which is a fancy word for insurance on those products, have triggered. So as long as they're, I'm going to say maybe a few $1 billion in claims, they'll just happen and you may not hear about it. But when the bigger ones start to explode, derivatives losses, and these insurance companies can't maintain or manage paying the insurance fees on the the payout of those losses because too many counterparties are asking for money for losses, that's when you hear again bailout number 2. The whole banking system will collapse if we don't do this, and maybe they'll promise to break the banks apart and we're going to bail them out one final time. And then when you actually see the amount of the bailout, it'll be so absurd, it'll be so high, you won't believe your ears, you won't believe what they're telling you. It'll be so insane because it has to be trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in order to fix that mess. At the same time, we may just realize, well, they don't want to fix the mess. They want the whole thing to implode so that they can usher in their new world order currency and banking system, which will be backed by gold, the currency. Again, IMF is number 3 on the whole world's list of highest gold holdings. A private company? Huh. And how the hell did they get all their money? They're not taking in taxes and stuff. How do they? Oh, United States and other Western countries just give it to them. Here you go. Little bonus for you guys. Here you go. You guys have this. So you can see where they're heading with this. It just makes sense that they let the whole thing crash down and they don't extend this on for a whole year. Although it would be perfect timing, because think about this. President Obama, I lasted 8 years and under my watch, I was able to hold the economy. He'll take all the credit. I was able to hold the economy together, and as I was stepping out of office and the new president, he or she, was stepping into office, the floor was pulled out, so to speak. Well, that's not my fault. I'm walking away. It's not their fault because they're just getting into office. You absolutely cannot blame them. They did that with his first, when he won the first presidency in 2008. That's when the collapse happened. He was walking in, Bush was walking out. Bush agreed, let's jack the debt ceiling up on my way out, and then when he gets in, he can jack it up again, and he did, and then they jacked it up again, and then again, and then again. And here's where we're at today. Banking numbers, all these corporations are looking terrible. I just don't see how they can pull this and stretch it. I know Jim Willie says, it's going to be next year. They've just postponed it or whatever to a year for the dollar. And maybe it's the dollar, because I don't know if he said that market crash or just the dollar he was talking about, but maybe we'll have the market crash soon, as Lindsay said, let's say it's this year, but the actual dollar collapse, where it's official, doesn't happen until Obama's walking out of office and the next president's walking in. That could be possible. No telling, but Webbot called this way in advance. And you can see it happening country after country dumping our debt. China dumping our debt en masse. Of course, they were the biggest holder of it. And that's interesting because there's, hell, since 2011, I think, or 12, somewhere around there, China was first in line to buy our debt. Japan was second in line to buy our debt. Third was the Federal Reserve itself. Now, it's just the Federal Reserve at the top of the list, and the other countries are, almost none of them are buying it. Very little. Which is why the Federal Reserve's balance sheet keeps exploding higher. And as you may have just heard, we passed this so-called budget, as I told you the other day, there will be no budget cuts for military spending, and sure enough, it was higher than ever before, above and beyond the budget Obama said he would veto if they put any bill in front of him. So the great and awesome Senate passed by supermajority, he can't veto it, supposedly. So they'll have their cake and eat it too, so to speak. $600 billion defense budget has now turned into or not defense, but the $600 billion budget, which actually I think it was for just defense, and then has now turned into $638 billion, which left us with, in total, they said, oh, by the way, we've taken in the most taxes, income tax money from the sheeple we've ever taken before. Record setting. Oh, great. We may be on the road to recovery. No, we're still $500 billion in the red. Sorry about that. Still couldn't pull it off. Took more income in off the sheeple, thanks to things like Obamacare taxes that people can't afford insurance. You get stuck with that bill. But, and of course, little changes to the tax code. They brought in a little more money. More money than they've ever brought in before. Ever. And we're still $500 billion in the red. Not to worry. This coming up year, 2016, Obamacare taxes go up even higher for those who don't have insurance, like me. So maybe we'll see even higher taxes pulled in next year, higher income to the government than previous, so a new record gets broken, and defense budget will go up even higher, and we'll still be $500 billion or maybe even a full trillion in the red again, because it doesn't matter. They spend money like it's not theirs. Oh, wait a minute, that's because it's not theirs. It's ours. And when we send money over to ISIS or, excuse me, Free Syrian Rebel Army, the good guys, and then we see pictures of the stuff that we sent them, all of it, in the hands of ISIS, one can only come to the same conclusion as me, which is ISIS is Free Syrian Rebel Army, Syrian Rebel Army is ISIS. Which is why, also, the Russians said, no, we're attacking ISIS. What are you talking about, United States? No, you guys are attacking the Free Syrian Rebel Army. No, we're attacking ISIS. And all that money, billions and billions and billions of dollars that was sent over there for the Free Syrian Rebel Army, has now been destroyed by Russia. And the rest of the world's like, hey, Russia, good job. They had to have that guy Zachary Zarfid, whatever the hell his name is, on CNN to tell everyone to stop giving high fives to the Americans. Stop giving high fives to Putin, is essentially what he was saying. Stop supporting Putin getting rid of ISIS. Okay. Stop somebody else from getting rid of a crazed murderer in our town. Excuse me? No, that's a good thing. I mean, he's the murderer, right? Yeah. He's crazy and killing... Yeah. This entity, third party, Putin, is killing the murderer. He got him. Right? Yeah. Good job, but... No. Don't clap for that guy. It's Putin, man. Don't clap for him. That's enough's enough. But he killed the guy that us, United States, have been saying is a bad guy. We can't get him. We're trying to find him. They keep multiplying. They're extremely well funded. They've got brand new 4x4 Toyotas. And oh, wait a minute. We sent ISIS, Free Syrian Rebel Army, those Toyotas. All of them. Oh, and that training video on CNN. ISIS hasn't released a training video. Has United States, U.S. stamped army tents in the background. But God, ISIS must have the power of God. I bet God himself is blessing ISIS with all this awesome American equipment. Or ISIS is the Free Syrian Rebel Army. Free Syrian Rebel Army is ISIS. They're one and the same. And it's just a cover story that they keep getting all these ammunition drops. And we just dropped 50 tons of munitions. 50 tons. How much do you think 50 tons of all kinds of munitions cost the taxpayer here? To very rapidly get destroyed by Putin. They're taking out of your pocket taxation without representation to fund this crap so that the military-industrial corporation gets filthy rich. We don't want to hear nothing about recession and no, don't come here with that crap. We don't get recessions. We only get bonuses and pay raises. And if we have to send 50 tons more weapons that we know instantaneously will be wiped off the face of the earth by Russia, we don't care because we got to get paid. Take care.